Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna do The Bear season 2, picking up where we left off. At the end of season 1, it finally came true. We see the Bear as they close the beef, and they're moving next door. The place was up for sale, and straight out the gate, I believe we start off, and it's just all the preparation where they have to move everything from the beef. They now have $300,000 that they found thanks to the older brother Michael that left that for Carmi, and we found out that he did want to open up a restaurant after all with him. He just didn't know how to go about it. And so now we're stuck here with trying to make the move, trying to make everything happen all in one go. The season is 10 episodes, ranging from anywhere from 35 to, I think the longest one was an hour 3. I believe
episode 6 was the longest, at an hour plus.
And then the last one came out to 45. I think there's a couple 45-minute ones in there. What did we think? That first one, how highly I thought of that first season. I fucking loved it. What did you boys think?
Well, before that, I want to mention too. Right now, this is sitting at a 99 critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 92 audience score.
13 Emmy nominations.
I would say, just starting it off here, I really enjoyed this one. It's a fantastic show, right from the get-go. I think it has, initial thoughts here, I think it has the same kind of idea that the first one had, where the first couple episodes are a little bit slow. It's that story building, and then the last 4 or 5, you really kick it into high gear. And man, oh man, that's what really makes this show.
100%. I mean, I'll say it. I went into it with a little skepticism because The Bear, I believe, is the only 100 I've ever given on our podcast, and that whole show got 100 from me. I fucking loved it. I've watched it 3.5 times through, something like that.
Season 1.
Season 1, yeah, sorry. But for season 2, there is that. I was very excited. They instantly got signed on for 2 seasons after that first one. But I still was a little skeptic because it's how are you going to fucking make this show carry on what we just saw in that first 8 episodes first season? And honestly, it wasn't until the second one, I think, is where I really started feeling it. Because that first one, it was okay, we're back, but there's not a lot going on. And then the second one, you're still a little on edge. And then by that third one, you're there. Because I said, I think the first one was them just moving everything and finding out all the issues they have going on, at what they want to make become the Bear. And then is 2 where we get introduced to the love interest, right? And that's where
3.
Is it 3 where you get to meet love interest? Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's 2
Which
or
is
3.
surprising because I didn't see that coming out of anywhere.
I saw her in the trailer, and that's where I started getting really scared because I was like, "Oh fuck! Are they gonna go this route?" I'm a little.
So I don't remember the trailer. I just remember the announcement. I think. But no, I mean, like you said, I was very skeptical when they announced the second season because after watching the first one, it being so good, especially you giving it 100. I'm like, why even bother making the second season? They can't do anything that can top this first season. And that's why after watching that first episode, I was pissed off because I'm like, all right, this is cool, but it's unneeded. And then I found out there were 10 episodes and obviously you got 9 left. And then, you start watching after the third one, you're already hooked. It's wow, they did it again.
There was
consistently gets better and better and better.
Right? There was a few of you that didn't know it was 10, right? I got a couple texts
the
where
first
people
one
were
was 8,
"Oh,
right?
I'm finishing it," and they're like, "Yeah, just finished 8. What the hell?" And it's there's 2 more.
So I got to 9, and you really could end the show with the end of episode 9, but it would be on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was happening.
Yeah.
I thought it was ending on 9, and I was like, oh man, I gotta wait because skipping ahead a little bit, but 10 they're opening the restaurant essentially.
Yeah, which I was kind of shocked. I didn't think they'd get to the opening this season.
So that's what I thought too. I didn't.
Well, at the end of 9, you don't expect
them
to actually go and have the friends and family, and you're like, oh fuck, is this really going to be the craziest cliffhanger of you just watch them get this entire place ready to go from scratch, gutting the whole building, and then you're not even going to see anyone sit down and enjoy a meal. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm not going to jump ahead too much.
Josh, what'd you think? Initial impressions on it?
Yeah, I think season 2 is better than 1. I was going to actually ask you guys, do you guys like the model where they release all 10 episodes all at once? I feel like we don't really get that too much nowadays. Even Netflix is splitting their seasons of Stranger Things and You and stuff like that at recent times.
I don't mind.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, because for selfish reasons, I fucking love it.
No.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'd much rather be able to watch my show at any time I want and not have to wait week by week. I guess it brings more. It brings people together and it brings more like excitement for each week when they do weekly episodes.
I think the reason that they stagger it sometimes, like most things, Disney does it, HBO does it, is you keep yourself in the news feed longer. Essentially,
100%.
If you're dropping an episode a week,
you're more relevant.
You're a little bit more relevant, but I don't think it's always necessary. Like I said, I think you can go with either or, because if you got a product or something that's really, really good and you drop it all at once, the conversation will carry for quite some time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the word of mouth goes crazy because that first season, I got a decent amount of people, 3 or 4 different people from my office to watch it. And when the second season came out, they were walking up to me and they're like, "Yo, where are you at?" And I was like, boys, I'm only 3 episodes in. And they're like, "Oh man, I finished it." And I was like, "Holy shit!" I haven't even done that yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really cool factor because again, too, imagine someone's hyping up this show and you're like, "Oh, where are they at?" And they're like, "Oh, episode 4. There's another 6 weeks you got to wait." Instead, you're like, "Oh yeah, the whole show's out. Just go home and watch it on your free time. You have the weekend to yourself. Go crush it."
I also think that it's harder to do with shows with that weekly release when you have short episodes, like a show like this. I'd be pretty disappointed if I was waiting every week for a 25-minute episode.
Yeah, that's the beauty of those weekly release series is that they're almost always 45 plus. So
yeah, so it makes it a little bit more feasible.
But then it doesn't make sense when you go look at anything that comes out on HBO. You'll have an episode that's an hour and a half, and then you have one that's 40 minutes. Last of Us is the last show that we watched that you can.
But I would say you're looking at a 40-minute standard. Yeah, minimum. Where this, you're looking at closer to a 25-ish,
These episodes
maybe
fall
30.
So short, man. Especially right when you think it's getting good, it's damn, it already music starts cueing. You're like, oh, it's fucking over. You're like, damn.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like Brian was saying. I mean, you start off this show a little bit slower, but it picks up right from where the first season ended. Like you didn't even skip a beat.
No.
I mean, do they? There's no time. They don't even give you a frame or anything, do they? I don't remember.
I mean, it's just I think from start to open was a 6-month span or something like that. Okay. But I mean, as soon as they find the money, I mean, I think it might be another 3 months in between, just because they find the money, then they purchase the building, and then they're moving their shit in, and then on top of that, they're finding out all the renovations that they have to do, which is a lot.
So the other thing that I didn't know, going into the second season, I thought they were gonna open a beef too. I thought they were gonna do sandwiches and stuff like that. I didn't know they were doing a full
the Krusty
fine
Krab
dining
too?
restaurant.
Well, they are gonna. That's what the window is gonna be for.
Yeah,
the window is
we
gonna
didn't
be
get
for
to see that.
Yeah, no, because they were gonna do. Because that's why when Sydney came back and he found the money and he was like, "Let's open this," and he goes, family style, sit down, and he goes, "Yeah, window for the original beefs."
No,
and
she was like, "I like part, it."
So yeah, that was that. That's legit. The very end, Sydney comes in to collect her last check, collect her last check because that was the text that said, "Hey, your check's ready." Yeah. And then they found all the money, and this fucking money greedy lady was like, "Oh, let me get back in." Oh man, Sydney. All right, but I will say, if you break it apart, because there is again, there's 10 episodes and 6 up. We're fucking crazy. But what did we think of those first 5? Because again, the first one is just them getting their feet wet, and the second one is still them trying to move shit, and they have the time frame. And I believe is the second one where he sends Sydney home and they're early and they don't know what to do, and then it fucking cuts and him, Sugar, and Sydney are all back at the beef at the same fucking time, and they come up with this master plan to fast track it. After they get their uncle, why am I blanking on the uncle's name right now? Someone help. They get the uncle.
He's a good ass actor though.
To become the silent partner, which was fucking dope. But also, he's money greedy and he wants to see this thing go. And they know that he will rip it out from underneath them because the parking lot that they're on is worth what, 2-point-something million.
Yeah, he was willing to sell it just for the land, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So, since they knew that, that's why, again, they get this free time and they go home and they're like, fuck that, we're going to fast track this as fast as possible. And that was cool. And then the third one is where we get to see fucking
Sydney eat everything in
dude.
fucking Chicago.
And Josh sent me this fucking thing on TikTok, and it was like all like the actual place. Well, not all because it was broken into different parts, but a couple of the places that she went to, and it's like holy fuck, like imagine because we were talking about this on Sunday. Me and Josh were like, can you imagine like actually living in the city? Like, and like this show already hits hard, but if we lived in that city, how much cooler it would be? It'd be like, oh shit, like that's like the fucking pizza spot that we go to, or like that's the dessert spot that we go to. Like that'd be so cool to see.
That's what's cool is that it's realistic.
I actually liked the 4th episode. I'm looking at it.
I was going to get to that, but I was going to say one more thing first.
Okay, go ahead.
3 is where we start to see what was becoming my problem, and I was skeptical because of the love interest, only because Claire's like, hey, will you come help me do this thing? And Carmi says yes and doesn't tell Sydney and blows off their little fucking friend date that they were going to have to go eat and find like inspiration. And he doesn't give her much. He's just like, oh, something came up. And it's like, dude, you guys should be friends by now. Like if it was one of you guys, I'd be like, hey, I'm helping this person do something. Like maybe I can meet you up. Probably not though. But no, he's being all mysterious. Like, oh, something came up. I can't meet you up, Sid. Like, go have fun. Like, kind of a dick move. And that's where I was getting very upset. I was like,
that does continue to be a problem throughout the season.
It does. Yeah. And again, it's foreshadowing. It's foreshadowing
all perfect on the final episode.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's but I wanted that to be known. Because really, again, the other 3 are really them coming together again, like, oh, here's the gang. Tina and what's his name get sent off to like an actual culinary school because again, they have all this downtime. At this point, and Sugar, Sydney, and Carmi all agreed to not even get paid for this whole time, so that way their employees can still get paid and make a living. And they send them off to go to this culinary school, and like I really think that was like the big takeaways. But then by the end of the 3rd one is where Sydney's like, hey, we have this extra time. What do we think about sending Marcus somewhere? And Marcus is Lionel from Odd Future, which always cracks me up. I love seeing that. And a lot of people don't know that. You're like, oh yeah, he's from Odd Future. And they're like, fucking what? And it's like Tyler the Creator, Frank Ocean, Earl Sweatshirt, Odd Future, maybe. Didn't ring a bell. But yeah, them sending him off to, where'd he go? It wasn't Belgium, was it? It was fucking, he went to Amsterdam, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was somewhere overseas. I don't remember exactly.
Where he meets Will Poulter.
I absolutely love it. Yeah. I mean, we can jump all over the place at this point, I think. I love the tie-in that Carmi literally met with that same chef. Like, they had a partnership. At one point, he learned everything from him. Or like, not even that he learned everything from him, but he worked alongside him. And then Lionel, I don't know what his name is. And
Marcus.
Marcus. He goes out there, and then, he sends him that plaque.
Well, does he mention it to Marcus, though, that he knows Carmi?
No, he doesn't mention him at all.
Yeah, I thought he did mention that he knew Carmi.
I thought he did.
He just sent him out because he knows that, like, that establishment or whatever is going to, like, perfect his craft. And then, jumping around again when he goes...
Something. Yeah, no, he definitely said that he knew Carmi, bro. Like, he said, like, he brought Carmi's name up.
But I'm saying when he sent him out there, he's like, hey, like, he probably didn't say, like, hey, I did exactly what you're doing right this minute. Like, I'm sending you to do exactly what I did. Oh, I think you just sent him out there to go get some experience and stuff like that. But when you find out that, like, Carmi was, like, he's saying a story and you, like, hear it, like, very low. And he's like, yeah, I think it was a Christmas party. And he's like, yeah, I fed an imaginary cat for so and so long. I'm like, damn.
Because he even tells Marcus, he, like, made a joke because I fed that damn imaginary cat for 4 months.
Yeah.
But no, that's what was cool, though, in episode 4 was, like, so... Because, again, Marcus is, like, a lovable character all around. So they were like, oh, let's send him out to Amsterdam. And then you get to see him with Will Poulter. And I had this ongoing thing where Josh was like, what do you think of Will Poulter in it? And I go, I loved him. Because for whatever reason, he plays a good guy so well after that Detroit movie. I was like, he's going to be a bad guy. He's going to be like a rival chef. He's going to try to fuck up Carmi. I'm not going to like it. Ended up being like one of the sweetest add-ons to the cast.
Yeah, so it's literally, it's just nothing. It's just story filling, basically. And he they're just like good friends, and he's on screen for like only 2 episodes, I think. Not for long.
It's just the one.
Yeah, it's just the one.
Is it? I thought they gave him another one later in the...
No, he showed up in a picture, like you mentioned, but that's it. I thought he was going to be almost like a main character in the main cast when I saw the trailer, because I only remember the one trailer, and I only watched it for like 2 minutes, and I saw him in like maybe 1 or 2 scenes, and I thought maybe he was going to be a new character or side character or something. I didn't know it was going to be a one-off.
See, that was another thing making me skeptical was that they said Bob Odenkirk was casted in this, and Will Poulter was casted, and I was like, holy shit, this show's getting too big. But the way that their characters work, because we'll get into Bob Odenkirk's in a little bit, but the way the two characters work, it was like the perfect addition, you know? Like, it wasn't like they were taking, it's not like they were taking away, because again, a lot of these people, other than Jeremy Allen White, like, aren't really known. Well, obviously Marcus is known as Lionel, but again, like, compared to his friends, he's not as famous. But like they weren't known, so I was afraid with them bringing out these big names, it was going to like outshine them, and they weren't going to be able to write in our cast the right way. But I think it went really fucking well.
Mm-hmm.
No,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, as you kind of move along, episode 5 pop. I don't remember that one that much. I don't
Josh,
know if you
that
get
one?
what was memorable out of 5. Like 5
is Forks, right? Or no,
Oh,
5 is Pop.
No,
Pop. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
that's
one
They're all
think-
arguing, and I think that's when
they're timing each other to
and
do
what's
the
her
thing.
name? Yep, and then is that before what's her name puts her fist through the wall, or is she like Sydney?
Well, remember, yeah, he
falls in the
introduces
wall and then
Claire to
starts
them
to-
at the
that
end.
was episode 2 when she
Two,
fell through the
yeah, I
wall.
think it was
that was early
Yeah.
on.
because that was
Yeah,
when
so
Shug
Carmi
was still
brings-
deciding if she was going to help out.
Yeah. So Carmi brings Claire to meet them at the end. But that episode, a lot of the renovations are kind of going crazy. They're working with Uncle Jimmy to figure out, maybe
is
if they
that
need
the,
more
is that
time.
the whole "did you tell fucking mom on me?" And he's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
they knocked
I
on
did
the
tell
wall.
mom."
They
Yeah.
knocked down the big wall. Yeah, that's that episode.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
Vac
that
was
was good.
fucking killing me this season, bro. Vac was funny as shit. And then, like, he goes, "No, you're wrong for telling mom." And he goes, "But he didn't tell mom. I told mom." And it was Marcus talking to them.
Yeah, and then he goes, he's like, "Mom," like under his breath. Dude, I love Feck this season, and Richie. Richie's fucking good, dude. And that brings into like the 5th episode, or
Episode
5 is
6.
Pop. Then we're going into 6, so I guess we can talk about that.
Christmas
6
episode.
is
Six, baby.
the best
6,
episode of this
baby.
entire season.
I
Probably
want
of
to
the air
say,
in general.
though, before we get into this, everyone knows and remembers how intense episode 7 of the first season was. By the time we hit 6, I was sitting there wondering, when the hell are we going to get something like that? And boy, oh boy, were my my questions answered, and it was an hour long instead of 20 minutes long. My chest felt tight. I fucking, this is, made me think, wow, I'm thankful for the family I have and the family I don't see anymore. Holy shit, boys.
So
what an episode.
episode 6 is the perfect rendition of how you do a flashback episode.
Dude,
in my
it's
opinion.
so good.
That is exactly how you do a flashback. It felt, I told Josh, I think after I watched it, I said, this is one of the first family, table dinner interactions that I've seen on television that felt incredibly raw. Like it could have been
Natural,
recorded
yeah,
with someone's
exactly.
phone. You're sitting there anxious watching them. There's a little bit of bickering in the background. There's the side conversations. It all feels legitimate. It all feels raw. You're introduced to mom and the dad that we had not seen before. Correct? Am I wrong in
It
that?
wasn't the dad. I thought it was the uncle.
Dad's not there.
Or
That's
the
not
uncle.
uncle.
Dad's dead, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we get
that's-
introduced to a bunch of characters we haven't seen, and they're all celebrities. There's Jamie Lee Curtis, John
Dude,
Mulaney,
stacked.
Sarah Paulson, Gillian Jacobs, Bob Odenkirk. Of course, we get John Bernthal back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, wait.
Barely really
I just
got
want to
him in
mention
season
that
one, which
literally
made
that
sense.
reveal of John Bernthal being his older brother Michael in the first season was insane.
Yeah,
I'll
still,
never forget that.
still
dude.
one of the wildest
yeah.
fucking things. He was the perfect guy. The second I saw it, he's
Dude,
telling
I
that
was just
story.
like,
You're
no
like, this is
fucking
it,
way.
bro. Like, this is it.
Yeah. Well, I just had
And
to
then
mention
you
that,
could
dude.
fucking just tell. We're gonna get into it, but you could just tell how
Dude,
broken
like,
of a
I mean,
person
I-
he is.
You were naming, you said Sarah Paulson, all those other people, Josh, and dude, Jamie Lee Curtis, what's her name? Sarah Paulson, dude, them two, Bob Odenkirk, and John Mulaney, those 4 alone are just insane, man. And then the fact that Bob Odenkirk and John Bernthal are just going back and forth, just fucking pissing each other off. So good, dude.
And then
the chemistry was really good between all of them.
Well, Jamie Lee Curtis,
insane.
haven't seen her in a while other than fucking the Halloween movies. And it's like, all
Which
right,
were horrible.
It is. Hey.
And
she's
and everything,
everywhere all at once.
But to see her in that element and to see her being like an alcoholic and to see her being like technically a bad mom, a good mom, however you want to look at it, like, yeah, she brought the family together, but none of the family really wanted to fuck with her. Only Sugar did, and Sugar looked at it the wrong way, like she could fix her, you know? And to see Jamie Lee Curtis play that, hell of an actress. Because I feel like everyone else just really wasn't acting like they're just playing characters. Like the uncle, like Rob Odenkirk, almost to me had like a sense of Saul to him with how sarcastic he was being.
Yeah.
And Bree from fucking what's it called? What am I?
Community.
The Community.
Gillian Jacobs.
It almost felt like she was playing herself, you know. So like. Just to see her like that was just amazing, and then the way that she flows with the family, like just like the immediate one, like Carmi and Michael together, and then Sugar together, because that's how it starts outside, and then Richie comes out and he goes, family meeting. He goes, no, cousin, just go inside and keep it together. We're just talking real quick.
The whole
and
time,
we see Gillian Jacobs in episode 7 too.
The whole
like,
time too, you can also like feel this like angst while they're like cooking, that like, you know, oh, Carmi's here, like, here's the big dog, here's the chef, there's the guy that knows everything, and they're like kind of giving him shit, but also like wanting his advice, but it's mostly giving him shit, and I felt like that felt really real too.
Well, it hit harder too, that whole kitchen scene, when you remember him sitting in I always call it AA. It's not AA, but the class that he goes to for people that were related to addicts that later on like died, you know. And he was talking about how he did that out of spite almost, and how he wanted to be the best, just to prove to his brother that he has what it takes. And so that scene, to see them again in the kitchen after knowing that, it's like, holy shit. Like, and to go back on what you said, it's just raw at that point. Like, this show has done so fucking well. At this point, watching episode 6, we're only 13 episodes into the whole goddamn thing, and it feels like we're a part of this family.
Yeah,
no, they did. I think, me personally, I mean, obviously Jamie Lee Curtis was great. Everyone was great in it, but I think Sarah Paulson was like one of the best. Just to, like, when she's going and saying that story and all that shit, and then John Mulaney's like her husband, he just keeps fucking like hitting her with like little stupid shit. Dude, it was just so good. Like, I don't even know who the hell cast all those people. How do you like pick each of those individuals out and put them into this episode and make it be perfect? You know,
I think, I mean, you got to give props to the writers and everything. I felt like too, and I said this, I told Josh this too, that typically with like flashbacks, they throw a filter on. It's just so you can kind of tell right away that
the only
this
one that looked like it had a filter on was fucking John Mulaney. I barely recognized his ass.
So you could tell it had a filter on, but I thought it was selected well. I thought it was good. It made it feel like a flashback. Something that comes to mind that's also a show that's really bad. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Suits. They do flashbacks in that, and they throw a filter on it, and it looks bad. It's like
also isn't Suits from like 2005, so that doesn't help its case.
I know it's newer than that.
Is it?
But that one just comes to mind in my head. That like whenever there was a flashback, I was like, oh, this looks so bad.
It's probably 2008.
Oh, sorry. 2000.
I don't think it's. I think it is old.
Is it really that old?
It is an old show.
It's like going on 12 seasons or some shit.
I just watched it the last couple months.
Wait, is that show still airing?
I don't know.
No, it is. It is done.
Josh, what are your thoughts on episode 6 here?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It's probably my second favorite episode of the season. The one part I really, really loved, it's one of my favorite scenes from the whole show, is when Carmi and Mike are talking, and he gives him the gift, the Christmas gift.
Oh, yeah,
I love that scene. And then, like, Carmi walks away for a minute, and you just see Mike break down, and you can see, like, the depression and the pain he's going through.
Yep.
And we know, as the viewer, what that character is going to end up, what's going to end up happening to him, and what he's going through, but no one else in the family knows. And that's what makes that throwing the fork scene even more impactful later on in the episode. So I love that part a lot. And then to Richie, who's one of my favorite characters, especially this season, I feel like his arc in this episode is kind of a different place, or not even too different from where he currently is in present day. He's trying to find himself. He's getting ready for a kid that's coming that he doesn't feel like he's ready for, and he's trying to find maybe a new job. And he doesn't want to leave Mike and the family by leaving beef, but he needs something more secure, something that makes him more money, something that he can be proud of. So I liked him kind of talking with Uncle Jimmy and him trying to figure it out, and telling the baby mama, Tiffany, kind of lies because he doesn't have the job yet. Yeah, he's trying to manifest
that shit
something.
was
But
so
Uncle
awkward,
Jimmy
bro.
covers
Yeah, you
so
feel bad.
That
well.
shit was so awkward, and especially because you know what happens. Like you said, you know what happens. You know that they end up separated. You know that he's not a good person.
Mm.
And he doesn't get this new job.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just so many added layers to this flashback.
Dude,
and
even
remind me because they bring
remember
it up.
the fucking alarm in the kitchen that goes off, and it's like the loudest thing all you can hear, and it
Oh,
just keeps
dude,
randomly going
because
off, and it's
she's
not even
that
set.
fucking crazy.
Yeah,
where
she's
she's
just
like, when that
nuts.
goes off, this moves here, this moves here. We need shelf space here. Can you remember this, Carmi? And Carmi's like, I can just like run it. And she's like, no, get the fuck out of the way. And
Yeah,
you
but
can
that's
see-
also good that you see where he gets it from.
Yeah, well,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, you
That's what
see
I was saying.
everything.
That's where essentially her telling him to get the fuck out of the way was episode 7's equivalent of "Get the fuck off my expo, chef."
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's
And
just,
I think I want to say this too. I'm a person that loves anxiety movies or shows, and
That's a weird thing to love.
He doesn't have
well-
anxiety. He's happy inside. So.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm happy
Right.
inside. No, and don't get me
Makes
wrong.
more
Obviously, I
sense.
like things that have more of a chill vibe, also. But I'm a sucker for that stuff like Uncut Gems, and this episode clearly has one of the most anxiety-filled.
No,
episodes.
I'm just messing with you. I would actually agree. It keeps
Yeah.
you on your edge. I'm
100p.
sitting there biting my fingernails, like,
Oh,
come on,
thrillers.
let's
Can't
let's
It's
go.
the
Let's-
most
away.
intense thing I think I've seen this year.
Dude, like I remember I
on
was
TV,
eating and
it's
like something
crazy.
fell out of the other end while I was taking a bite, and I was like, I have no time to look away. It was what it was. Like, this
Well, I was
is-
pissed that everyone was like praising episode 6, and I was on like 4 or 5 on Twitter, and I'm like, damn, they're like, episode 6, the most insane thing I've ever seen. Everything that we wanted in the bear is right here in episode 6. And I'm like, fuck, like now I gotta stay up and I gotta watch this. Like I gotta get to it. And I watched it. I was like, I mean, you're just shocked at the end of it.
I know. Actually, I cranked through. I feel like I was on like maybe a similar thing. Like I think I watched like the first 3. Then I did like 4, 5, and I was like, all right, I'll start 6. And I was like, ugh. It was late, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
it's an
I saw
hour.
6 was an hour. I did the
Yeah.
exact same. I
And
watched the first 3.
now
4,
I-
5,
I-
saw
I-
6 and was like,
I started 6, and I was like, flashback. I don't always care for flashbacks, but I like got 10 minutes in, and I was like, all right, and we're finishing all of 6.
Dude, they're just doing, there's like
And then I'll go
nonstop
to
shit
bed.
going
You
on.
know, I
man.
went to bed and finished
Get her
6, and then I
Sprite.
watched 7, and then I had to fucking stop. Which also, that was the scene I really feel like Josh was talking about, where Carmi's bigly. He goes, I'll fucking make her a Sprite. He goes, oh, look at Carmi. He's going to fucking make her a Sprite. What's he going to do?
Yeah, he's gonna craft the ingredients or whatever he's
Holy
saying.
shit.
He's gonna make it from scratch.
That shit's
Um,
good, man.
You kind of end 6 though with fork throw.
Yeah, well,
and,
because you got
and
to
a car
remember.
going through a house.
and a car going through a house.
So
is what I was
everything
gonna
a little
say
bit
next.
bigger.
Before we get there,
I was gonna
though,
say
at this
next.
point, we do see Jamie Lee Curtis is a drunk. Sugar just wants to help. Sugar doesn't know how to help. The boys know how to help, and mostly it's because the mom wants the boys' help and not Sugar's help because she's like that. But the boys don't really give a fuck because this is just the way that she is, and Sugar needs to accept it. Sugar can't accept that. Causes a whole fucking problem.
She says, "Are you
Jamie Lee
okay?"
Curtis is a fucking freak. She's an alcoholic. And then on top of that, so Michael's telling the story, and fucking, what's Bob Odenkirk's name in it? Uncle what?
Uncle Lee.
Uncle Lee. Uncle Lee cuts him off, tells him how the story ends, and he's like, oh, you've told us this 1,000 times. And everyone's like, well, I haven't heard it. Let us hear it. And, like, that's where it starts to what we're about to get to. So they're already in the salty-ass mood, and then you get to the fucking table.
And then fucking shit
we're
hits
at
the
the
fan.
Yep.
You have then that's when you get the Richie scene, I think, with the whole like job and all that.
Yep, that
while
awkward
that's
ass
going on in the
conversation.
back. And then what happens? So then they finally wait, all that shit goes down, they like Carmi just sits there and doesn't say a word. And then everyone else like they're waiting for what's her name to come out, Mom, I think they kept calling her.
Uh-huh.
And then she finally goes, and they all know, like, fuck, like, like she's gonna
Yeah.
fucking, she's a
Well,
lit
because
fuse
it's
and just
funny,
waiting for it to
fucking
explode.
Uncle Jimmy, wasn't Uncle Jimmy talking to someone and he goes, you can just feel it in the air, something's about to happen.
Yeah,
and then
no,
you see
he's like-
Uncle Lee and Michael going back and forth and they're yelling at each other and fucking Sugar's trying to calm him down and Michael's trying to calm him down and he throws the fucking spoon. That's the first spoon that gets tossed, or fork. And he goes, throw that fucking fork again. And then he goes, who's he ask? He asks Fact for the fork, or is it Richie? Richie's just like, I can't give you my fork because you're gonna throw it.
It was John Mulaney, I think.
Oh, was it John Mulaney? I thought John Mulaney was when they caved and gave it to him. My fault. I might have that back.
He asked a couple people.
Yeah, he asked everyone.
Dude, but no, he gets that fork and you just knew where this shit was headed.
Yeah. So then they start bickering and doing all that. They start fighting, and then you see when Jamie Lee Curtis finally goes to the table, and then someone like says something to her, and then she just loses it.
Sugar asks, "Are you all right?" She goes, "Am I all right? Am I all right, Sugar?" And then
she just loses it.
Because again, Sugar's the definition of someone that doesn't know how to like chill the fuck out in a tense situation like that and make it worse. Like I had someone in mind from my own family, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, because like me and my brother, we'd be the type of like, "Yeah, something's wrong," but like, not my place, not gonna say anything. And then we have cousins that would be like, hey, what's going on?
Well, especially, too, at the beginning of the episode when her brothers are making her promise outside not to ask a question. And she does it multiple times throughout the episode.
Yeah. But no, then we end it with, it's basically like, it's kind of like Carmi's perspective. You can kind of tell, like, the entire time.
We later find out in a different episode that it was him telling a story.
Yeah, and then you go, and you just see him, like, he's just dead stared, like, they're all in shock, and you understand how traumatizing it is, and it kind of develops each of their characters and the way that they are from that exact moment. So they all realize that their mom was sick, and she just drives her car straight through the living room, basically.
And again, is she sick or is she just an alcoholic? Because
she's an alcoholic, but she's also just mentally
like an alcoholic.
Yeah, so she's kind of just mentally ill.
I don't know if they touch on this. I think she has lung cancer. Because she grabs a cigarette and one of the kids says like, "Mom, like, don't." She goes, "It doesn't matter now."
But I know that she was struggling because the dad
I could
died.
be on a
she's been a mess ever since the dad died.
But I that's my guess, and that will kind of like that's my guess.
I was curiously wondering, like I was genuinely just wondering because I have heard people say she was sick, and I was like, she's sick or she's just deep off the bottle. So all right, thank you.
That's my guess. I could be completely wrong. Maybe
I thought that she was just a mess because the dad died, and she just hasn't been the same since. And I think
it could be
mentioned
that too. Yeah, it could be that.
But, I mean, she's just struggling either way. She lives alone and like basically does all that. So,
but yeah, we
get to episode 7. What is that? 7 is called Forks.
Yep.
Forks.
And the whole episode is Mike and Uncle Lee throwing forks at each other.
No, it's literally Richie stages in that one where Carmi sends him off to like the restaurant that he worked at previously, like where he kind of got his start. Wherever it was.
I was gonna say Josh and I talked about this, and Josh actually I was surprised. He was like, "This is the worst episode of the Bear that I've ever seen."
And I was like, "Why the fuck do I give it?" Josh said, "Why the fuck do I give a shit about some forks? Like I'm with Richie. This is all a bit." He never finished the episode. Actually, he turned it off.
No, I stopped watching it. This is my Richie
grabbing forks. Where's my Richie smelling cigarettes getting stabbed by knives?
Nah, Josh, let's hear your actual thoughts.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm excited for the Bears season 3, episode 7 because they just fucking hit on episode 7.
Don't even give us 1 through 6. Just drop episode 7.
Honestly, I'm gonna go straight to 7 for season 3.
What was so bad about it?
Nothing. It's fucking the best episode on the show.
It's his favorite episode.
I fucking loved
6 was
it.
his second favorite.
I might
this
rewatch
is his favorite.
Again.
No,
I might just rewatch
it. Hey, be honest, do you just see yourself in Richie, and is that why you fucking love it so much?
I think he
does.
does.
I don't know.
That you could have a moment like that and turn your shit around.
Dude, I was caught off guard because everyone was talking about episode 6 being amazing, and it was. But then when I watched episode 7, I was like, all right, I'm going to come off the high of that great episode. No, it was fucking better. I was like, holy shit. This episode's sweet. Yeah, I mean, it's just Richie
got better.
I had to take a night off after.
But that's what I absolutely loved about this. I loved about this season is that first season is just entirely Carmi, and then you see all the side characters, his family. You get little backstories. But this one, like they devote an entire episode to each character, which is great. You get the Marcus episode,
Cindy episode.
Then you get a Sydney episode. You get a literally every character. I'm not going to go into
family
Tina,
episode.
Tina and what's his name go along the way. You get
they
family.
go and get their to culinary school.
Yeah, dude. But no, then this Richie one was so fucking cool. Dude. And it's like when he has that moment of realization, like he's pissed. He's so pissed. He's on the phone. Cousin, you're fucking setting me up. You just want me out of your hair. So I do these renovations. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm literally trying to better everything for you so that way you can have a little bit of appreciation and understanding of what the fuck we are about to get into. And
he's waking up every day at 6 a.m.
All of that clicks, bro. And he starts beating his alarm and stuff, dude. Like, he's ironing his suits. Oh, my God.
Dude, it's literally just a complete character, like, I don't even know what you call it. Like, not a character arc. Yeah, it's literally like just a 180 for
like
Richie's character.
When he has that conversation, I think it's like middle of the episode, is that conversation with the guy that, like, Carmi got him the job through. And he's like... Garrett. And he's, like, talking to Garrett. And Garrett's just telling him how much he fucking loves this and how much it means and how well they know their staff and how people are on this waiting list for fucking years. And when they come in, they're going to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience. These people are foodies. Oh, we're going to give them all this shit for free. Oh, these people love this. And, like, they fucking go and get you whatever it is.
Man, I want to eat somewhere like that.
Oh, no, it's great because you see Richie, obviously, he goes in there and he's like, I'm better than all these people. They don't know how to work in a real restaurant, like shit like that. And then he obviously realizes, and that's that exact point of that episode when he's talking to Garrett and he's like, why do you do this? And he's like, I absolutely love it. Like, I just love, servicing people and doing a great job at it. And then that's where you either wait for Richie to be like, fuck that, like, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard. Or he's like, oh, I guess you're right. And then he does, I guess you're right.
And
then he completely flips.
So, Aiden, when you say, like, he did the, I guess you're right, how they did that in this episode is perfect. It's not like it was just like a flip of the switch. Mm-hmm. It was like you got to watch the character arc happen in real time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is it happened at the perfect part of the episode to where you get to watch the rest of it. It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
And he's like, can I take it out? And they're like, get it, Richie, or go ahead, hands, Richie.
Yeah,
and then,
go ahead, chef.
Go ahead, chef. And then he just fucking scoots out the door. And I was like waiting for that shit to end, like right there, like music was gonna cut. And I'm like, damn, but then he just goes and he's just doing everything, man.
It's one of those stories where it's like he feels like it's beneath him, right? He's waking up at 6:30 in the morning every day, and he's going to clean forks the whole day. And it's like the Karate Kid, like wax on, wax off. Like, why the fuck am I cleaning this right now? Yeah, and then obviously it betters him. But I have a funny story I just want to mention really quick, and it was to the part we were at in the episode where he brings out the food, and he accomplishes that, and he nails it too. And then it shows him like studying and starting to grind, right? And I believe I told Andrew this, but I was watching this with Sydney, my girlfriend, who loves the show. She does really enjoy it.
Not Sydney from the show, different Sydney.
Not Sydney from the show.
I can't believe you know Sydney from the show. That's crazy.
I thought you were talking about Sydney from the show.
No, so we were watching it, right? And I'm a huge nerd. I get excited over things, especially when it's Richie. I love the character. He nails giving them the food, right? He nails it. He's charming, impressive. I was like, yeah. And so as soon as he's done and he starts walking away from the table, Sydney gets all excited. And I'm like, whoa, I've never seen this from her when we're watching a show. I was like, holy shit, she's excited about Richie, and he nailed it. And like, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Like, this episode's touching her too. No, she was excited because Taylor Swift started to play. So she knew from the beat that Taylor Swift was about to come on. I had no clue. But yeah, so he's studying, they're testing him, and he's nailing it. And then boom, he's in the car, and I was seeing this picture all over Twitter, so I knew it was coming. It's Richie singing "Love Story" by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Sydney started going crazy
so
berserk next to me. Yeah, it worked for the episode. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, because they keep mentioning the whole like Taylor Swift tickets
daughter,
and then all that.
Taylor Swift tickets. Yeah, and when this season dropped, I think a week prior or 2 weeks prior, she was in Chicago for the concert, so it worked pretty well with the timing and everything. But yeah, I mean, that is just like, and then you just get into the groove. Richie's finding himself. I wear suits now, bitch. Like, it's so good.
And that's the coolest part. The coolest part is when he comes back and he looks at Tina and he just goes, because again, we watched Tina glow the fuck up from the first episode, like the first season.
Too.
And so when he goes, hey, Tina, and she goes, you're looking good. And he goes, hey, Tina, I'm a suit guy now. Tina doesn't even fucking question it because she knew that Richie had that in him. And again, I'm sitting there, tears of joy, just like, it's not a fucking part of the family.
You look good, Poppy.
Yeah, bro. No, like, she's a dog for that.
I literally felt like this is season 2, and we got to watch all of our characters that we liked in season 1 or didn't like. Tina, I wasn't that big of a fan of. We get to watch them all level up in season 2. We get to watch them all become this team that
Tina's a sous chef now, so she's not taking orders from anyone. She does her own shit. She gives the orders.
She has a sweet knife.
Yeah, dude. Carmi, she goes, you never asked for your knife back, or like, I'll put your knife back, whatever. Carmi goes, chef, I don't remember asking for it back. And you're like, yes, the same knife that she fucking dropped and like gets scratched in the first episode because Carmi took her pot.
Yeah. No, and I want to mention too, that Jessica girl that works at the restaurant Richie's at. They kind of had a connection. I like that. Obviously, he talks to Tiffany earlier in the episode, who's getting married again. He's getting kicked while he's down a lot, but he still perseveres and finds happiness and finds something he's passionate about now. And yeah, we just mentioned it. Every character kind of had to level up, if you really think about it, from season 1 to season 2. Yep. If they want to achieve what they want and get these stars and get this nice restaurant, they can't be the chefs they were in season 1. They have to be the chefs they become in season 2. So I really like that a lot.
The other thing is, I think everyone leveled up, but Carmi. Yeah. I think he leveled down. If we're being honest,
I don't think he necessarily
it was just because of the love interest. But it was just because of whatever her name was.
Claire. I think
She's all over the place.
No, I just think we get to see who he really is in this season.
Well,
we get to devour more of his like internal self.
But the whole point too was like he can't have a relationship. Like this restaurant is his relationship. He can't do anything. I mean, you 100% can, but he just in his own head.
Well, you get to see the Carmi behind the chef.
Yeah, the Carmi behind the chef.
Get to see the rat under the hat.
No, but also what you got to remember though is Carmi is literally he's taking a step back and he's coming to a place where he was the best chef. Like he worked for the best restaurant. So I think the idea is that he's already mastered prestige, and these motherfuckers came in maybe first prestige.
Yeah. But I mean, how far are we in now?
I like.
Can I say what I want or no?
Yeah, I just want to mention really quick too. I really like the Chef Terry. Chef Terry scene. Who runs the whole restaurant where Richie got to talk to her at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that scene a lot. And when she told him what Carmi's. She's actually in Secret Invasion.
Yep.
So she tells Richie what Carmi said about him, which that was a really touching scene about him. I like that a lot. That was a good way to like kind of wrap up the episode or get to the ending of the episode. We could talk about episode 8. We also haven't mentioned all the fucking Coach K shit that was mentioned throughout this whole entire season.
It's funny.
You guys know who Coach K is, right?
Yeah, they base this entire season basically off of Coach K.
He's mentioned every episode. Yeah, him or his book that is real.
The book,
yeah, the quotes. I'm like, damn, this is like a Coach K season. Yeah, so I don't know. Not a huge Coach K guy, but I mean,
nah,
he's good at what he did, I guess. But welcome. We can talk about episode 8.
So episode 8, I was going to say
that's the fire suppression test.
Oh, okay.
So that was good because that was an ongoing thing that we kept seeing in each episode. Like obviously when they're redoing or they're getting the restaurant up and going, and I mean that everything was banking on that literally balloon in the gas if it's gonna pop or not. And we saw multiple times that balloon popping in like seconds.
Yeah, and they don't know what to do, but I love because it's a callback to the first episode, and they bring it up, and again, this is just a term they've been saying in the show, like, he was a very troubled person, like, it isn't a good thing to say. They called it the Jewish lightning, and the Jewish lightning was the idea of setting the whole restaurant on fire, and the insurance money would pay for everything. Yeah. And so I love that they find out, because again, this is now Richie's leveled up and he's talking to the new staff, and we're like halfway through the episode, and Fat just comes running in because he's figured it out. And he comes up to Richie, goes, I got it. And he just goes, Jewish lightning. And he goes, I'm going to go talk to this very troubled individual over here. You guys keep doing what you're doing. And he goes, the hell are you talking about, dude? Yeah. And he tells him again, and he goes, wait. And like, sure enough, Michael had fucked with it because that was going to be how they were going to set the whole thing in place. And I love how full circle that came. Because, again, they said it, and it was funny at the time, but you don't think anything of it. Like, that's funny. No. Like, of course, the guy that fucking, like, was doing all this schemy shit, didn't believe in paperwork. Like, yeah, of course he had a plan to burn the bitch down to get insurance money.
Yeah, no, I love how that came full circle, and I think they did a great job, especially during, like, pre-shift or whatever they were doing training. and then you see all that go down, and especially just seeing Richie like as his new self, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of this entire season.
Yeah, because they
It's
had
just
literally
Richie's
that
turnaround.
one chance, or they would fail, and he wouldn't be able to come back for another 6 weeks or something like that. And they were opening 2 days later or something like that.
Yeah,
Well, they had to
were
push
on
it
a time
even closer.
crunch.
Yeah.
But I also love. I don't know which episode it is. It's either like 7 or 8, 7 through 9, and it's when Uncle is talking to them, like, or he's talking to
Sugar in the car. I think it was 9.
And then, and he's like, you gotta up the prices, and she's like, fuck.
Uh-huh.
It's like, damn, man.
Everything's got to go up. Yeah, that was crazy because that was also because 9 is the omelet episode, right? The significance of the omelet. You just wanted something basic, and even then, Sydney's like chefing it up, doing all this fancy stuff to it. It's like my omelet is me cracking 3 eggs with a pan of butter and some cheese, salt, pepper.
Yeah.
Like, all right,
Will you
go.
try it with the
9 was my other
potato
favorite
chips?
episode, and I'm honestly forgetting about it.
See, I was wondering
Oh,
that.
omelet.
I might have
That
to.
shit was so good.
I kind of wanted to try it with potato chips, and I think didn't she say what kind of potato chips was it?
Sour cream and onion.
Yeah, sour cream and onion. Yeah, so I might have to try that. That looked really good, actually.
Yeah.
Chips gluten
I
free.
was very hungry during that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Nice.
Yeah, they make gluten-free chips.
But no, I mean, like,
Okay.
when we
Potatoes.
watched the first season of The Bear, like, it's so different if you, like, worked at a restaurant. Like, I know that, like, Pop, you guys, a couple of you guys worked at, like, Little Caesars, but, like, working at the bistro,
This
like,
is closer to honey baked, honestly.
literally every single thing that happens, like, in this show, first season, second season, is identical to what happens in a restaurant. Behind, like, back of house, front of house, everything. And it's just, it's so crazy how they do such a great job at, like, portraying it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my dad was
bistro,
watching
did
it.
you have to like yell hands and fucking corner and shit like that?
I mean, that's like a high-end restaurant with like a back kitchen that you can't see, like a closed kitchen. But we had an open kitchen, so it wasn't that much.
that's
I mean,
right,
you
it
would
was
still
right
say
there.
like behind and corner, all that shit, chef and shit like that. But I mean, we were all cool there. Like, it wasn't as professional as they make it.
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say it wasn't as
like
like
on
on
Gordon Ramsay, like pristine Forbes
It's,
list restaurant.
let me squeeze right past you here.
three
Oh, man,
Michelin
dude, it's
stars.
just like, it's like, dude, like getting locked in the fucking cooler, like that shit happens, like all that stuff, like. And I'll never forget, like, the best part of that, like, the real restaurant shit is when Sydney's on the top shelf getting the dressing down.
Oh, and she drops it all.
Yeah, he's like, let me help you. No. Fucking splatters. everywhere. Like, dude, that fucking wastes, like, an hour of your time. And you got shit to do. Like, you don't have an hour to waste.
Do we want to dive into 10 season finale?
Yeah, I mean, I really like 9, or we just kind of mentioned 9. That was when they, like, realized that they have to, that's when they passed the test.
Yep.
So that was the other thing.
Which, like I said, so episode 9 ends, is it with just them passing the test, correct?
Yeah. But I think 9 is when, also, I think it ends when Carmi's, like, in the dining room, and he's, like, fixing the table, and then he's got a present for Sydney. And it's like a fucking goddamn Avengers suit, dude. She gets that fucking, that chef's coat. Game over, man.
So I thought...
I knew exactly what it was.
I thought the show was ending with 9, and it could have,
that would've
but on a cliffhanger, and it would have sucked, but they could have ended it how they did. But we get 10. And 10 for me was my favorite episode.
Really?
And yeah, I really liked the season
10's a
finale.
phenomenal episode. I don't know if I could put it at my favorite.
And don't get me wrong, like, I think 10, probably 6, 7, 9 are all they're all pretty interchangeable, pretty damn close. But 10, the restaurant is finally open. The Bear. The episode is called The Bear. It's what we've been waiting for. The restaurant is open. You're excited. You're like, my first thought is like, uh-oh, are people going to show up? Like, first scene, place is packed, all the family, everyone's there.
I love how they did Friends and Family, which is great because that's also like a real thing that they fucking do.
Sugar fucking it up. I mean, like, I invited Mom, and Carmi's like, why in the fuck would you do that? And again, Sugar does it for herself, basically, because Carmi's like, you know what, it's fine, Mom could be here, I'm going to be busy anyways. And Sugar is the one that ends up getting butthurt about the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that one scene alone, I mean, just, like... So, the fact that they got all those new chefs in there, and obviously like they're new, but they haven't had like, I don't know. I mean, you don't know what kind of like resumes they have and shit. Like, where did they work before? Like, you see the lightning guy fucking chopping like he's off the fucking 8-ball, and then you got the other guy that's okay.
So, and that's what I like about 10 is I feel like 10 it didn't quite have the same level of anxiety as 6, but it was there. There was the anxiety there. But what they were doing with is they were giving a little comedic relief here and
Yeah.
there. You know, they were giving you a little tasteful of the comedic relief, because hell is that a intense episode. As you kind of move along, restaurants open, you know, things are going on, you know, there's these conflicts going on. Claire shows up.
The fuck was the
Carmi's
rubbing of
locked
the
in
chest thing, dude? Like Carmi's
Yeah.
freaking out and they're like doing
that's
the
good.
rubbing
Army's
chest thing.
freaking out. And then he gets locked in the cooler there.
Yeah.
And you're like, the
But
show just goes on.
A
The
full
show just
circle
goes on.
moment again. The foreshadow we got from the third episode where he blows off Sydney. The thing was, he was gonna call the guy to fix that fucking handle, but Claire called and Carmi ignored both calls and went to go do something because something else showed up, and he did not call the
flashbacks
guy.
in his mind. It like flashes all the things. Like I mean, it goes through every character at like some point, and it's like, damn, man, he knows he fucked up.
Yeah, dude.
But that's where he came to me is when like I'm watching that 10th episode, especially after 9. I'm like, holy fuck, like I'm fired up, dude. And then you watch that 10th episode, it's so slow. Like you're like, all right, they're gonna open Have Friends and Family. Like, what could possibly happen?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, dude, this episode is like probably like I think it sucks. But then you get to that point, all right, Carmi's locked in. What are they gonna do? You see Sydney look.
Sydney fucking folds again.
But yeah, Sydney folds, and then who comes in? Who comes in to save the fucking day? Richie comes in to save the day. He fucking goes, and literally that's when like I fucking sat up. I'm like, damn,
I think
man,
there's
you
5
had
minutes.
those fucking
Richie
days.
looking
5
at her
minutes
with
on
the
the clock.
confidence, just going, "Let me do the board. I can do the board." And he's
And
like
he
shaking his head,
fucking-
yes. And Sydney's folding and goes, "Can I do the board?" And she goes, "Do the board."
And he fucking clears the board, dude. That shit is
Machine. He
hell.
comes in and cleans
again,
up
but
house.
that's where the beef kicks in, because the
Dude,
beef was
it's
like
so
that. The beef was really
Yeah.
like that. The way that they were firing shit off, and he was so good at talking to people and getting shit going at the same time.
But it's crazy that Carmi's in there. He's like, dude, everything's fucked up. Like nothing's going out.
He
Everyone's
was screaming
complaining.
like,
The
"What's
place is
happening
fucking
out there?
burnt
Who's
down."
running the board?"
Yeah, and
'Cause
then you
mind
see
you-
Richie step in. He clears that shit, and then it just goes fucking like, dude. I mean, I remember like just from personal experience, like a Friday night at the fucking restaurant, dude. Like that fucking printer, the tickets are down on the fucking ground snaking. And I remember my like dad's in the kitchen fucking cooking shit up, and you got all the chefs there. Someone walked out. Like they didn't show that. Like I guess the one guy goes to go smoke crack, but
That was
like,
funny.
fucking
No, and they do.
chefs
Yeah.
are walking out left and right. Like fuck this, I'm going to smoke. I'm going home. I'm not coming back. And then you're like, fuck the guy. Like Carmi has to go back there and fucking cook up. Then you have the manager. She's fucking full and she's looking around like deer in headlights. And then you gotta go and just fucking start.
Dude, but
Sydney finally gets outside. She sees the chef that they're looking for.
Yeah.
He's smoking crack. Comes back
Marcus.
in. You know,
Marcus
Marcus sees him. Because Marcus goes,
Oh, was
I
it
think
Marcus?
I think I gotta fire you, bro. Like, let me go ask Sydney. He goes, yeah, go ask Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
No, Sydney goes
Yeah,
outside
you're right.
to puke after she fucking folds.
You're right. I
Again.
apologize.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's why-
This
so-
episode too is pretty stressful, just with all the side plot things. I mean, you have
Yeah.
Marcus and his mom, that side story.
Yeah,
you also have
and so
Marcus
that
and
was the thing.
Sydney's attraction, or I guess it's a one-sided attraction. Will they?
I
Won't
think
they?
I think
type
it's
thing.
two-sided, but Sydney can't fucking open her
Okay.
goddamn eyes. Marcus gets
I
that
thought
text.
she might have
Marcus-
something for Carmi.
Marcus drops his fucking phone, and then at the end, we get a very unfortunate text. On
Yeah,
top of
some-
that, they invite Claire. Carmi's not stoked because he has to choose between the restaurant and her, and it's always going to be the restaurant. And
And
then he sees
I think-
the guy in the corner that he thinks looks like the guy that bullied the shit out of him from the best restaurant in the world. It's later we find out it's not him. Carmi is just fucking zooming like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
He's losing his fucking
one thing
mind.
you also have to add on top of the stress is, I mean, and maybe it's a reach, but that background thing with Carmi with possibly Sydney as well. Like as their love interest here with Claire's
That's what I
here,
thought.
like there's so much
the mom's
battle.
coming.
I
And
see
then-
the love from Sid to Carmi and Carmi to the restaurant /
Yeah.
Claire. That's all I
May-
see it in that way.
Yeah, and
I
maybe
see
but
Carmi treating her like a little sister.
that's fair.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
does
that's
love and
how
care
I-
about her, but just not in a
Not in
Yeah.
a love
100%.
interest kind of way.
Yes.
We've
Yeah.
got to also mention that incredibly emotional scene when the mom actually shows up.
Yeah.
Oh, dude! And again, shout out that motherfucker. They all hate him, but you gotta love him because he was
What's
the
his
only
name?
one that supported Pete.
Thank you, Josh.
Pete was the only one that kept up with Carmi when Carmi went overseas.
That scene was hard to watch too.
Crazy restaurants. Pete was the only one that kept up. He defended him when they were all giving him shit when they went to grill the hot dogs at Uncle Jimmy's party for that kid, and they were talking shit.
Fish.
Yeah, dude. He brings the fish to the fucking flashback.
That
and
was
7 fishes, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing? It's 7 fishes, not 8 fishes."
What did he bring to the Christmas party too?
He brought
She fucking
The
threw it
fish.
away.
It was tuna. It was the fish.
Pete and the scene with the mom outside.
And he,
my god! I thought that scene was fantastic.
So
Dude,
Like
it
her
was
too.
fucking amazing.
I thought that scene. I'm like sitting there, like I'm like, oh, my eyes aren't watering, like because she's just like, no, you can't tell me. He's like, you can. The acting there was fantastic. He's battling in his head.
You're here. Just come inside.
And it's also like Pete's the only one that like doesn't have any like background really. Like he's just part of the family.
What I love.
And then now he's got to fucking sit with that.
Bullied and no one knows
now
why.
he has to sit with that. He fucking gets back to the restaurant. He's fucking just bawling his eyes out.
Yeah.
She's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "I'm just so proud of you." And
Proud.
He's like,
And he's holding it in. I know, and that's what makes it even better.
And I was waiting for Suge to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you freaking out? Like, not like consoling him, basically, like fucking, like, oh, don't worry, like you're all right.
It was a hard watch. It was a hard watch, and again, the acting being that good because like I have a great mom, but to think of someone bailing on their kids like that is just like heartbreaking, you know. Yeah. And to think that she made it that far and to beg and plead with this fucking guy that she probably doesn't even like the rest of the family. And it's just like, don't tell him I was here. I'll come back later. I promise. Like, damn, dude.
And that really hurt. And you carry along. Restaurant keeps moving, and I think is that kind of when you get to the scene with Richie and Carmi on the cooler.
Not yet. So Richie's running the board. Tina is talking to Chef Carmi in the cooler. And that's when it happens because they need Tina. Well, because Sydney fucking freezes or whatever, and Tina needs to go do her job because she's sous chef. So she goes to do that. And then that's when Carmi starts spilling to Tina everything that he feels because Jimmy's the one that kind of put it in his head. He can't have both. He's a fucking idiot. In his words, I'm a fucking idiot. I can't have both things. I can't be happy. And like something about like the thing about me is I want attraction. I don't need attraction. And he goes on that whole spiel. And Tina's kind of a dick for not knocking and just being like, hey, man, I got to step away for a few. Instead, she lets him spew. And of course, at the same time, they're like, hey, Carmi's locked in the walk-in. It's finally what Fact says.
Richie and Fact.
Also, Fact being cleaned up, running the fucking front. Goated. Love that guy. Yeah. But, yeah, he goes, he's locked in the closet or locked in the walk-in. He goes, what does that mean? He goes, he's literally locked in the walk-in. And again, Claire could have knocked on the door like, what's up, Carmi? I'm outside. But no, that didn't happen. Instead, he fueled his fucking mind and lost possibly the best thing that ever fucking happened to him. And then he sits there and he listens to that fucking voicemail. He listens to the voicemail. Or does it?
Wait,
the
it's
voicemail
Claire,
after he fights
it's Claire then Richie? I thought it was Richie then
Claire.
No,
because Claire leaves
the voicemails after the breakup.
Claire leaves. Okay, so the voicemail's after Richie. So he does that to Claire. Claire leaves crying, and then Richie comes walking up because it's the end of the night. Right. And then they go back and forth, dude, and just it's so raw. And when he goes, "You're just like fucking Donna," and after watching episode 6, Donna is the mom. You're like, oh, why would he say that?
Yeah, they said things to each other that you really can't take back.
But what was so fucking funny was like
incredible.
Richie, Carmi's yelling, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Richie's on the other side, knowing that he doesn't mean it, he just goes, I love you, cousin. I love you, cousin.
Oh, he goes, I hope you fucking stay in there forever and freeze to death.
Yeah, well, that's after he called him like a piece of shit father
then
and shit.
He starts saying, I love you, cousin, I love you, and Carmi's in there swearing, spitting at the door, like just pissed off. And you get that scene of the Richie outside, Carmi in the cooler, nice evenly split down the middle.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Beautiful cinematography. Fantastic right there. I loved that scene right there, and it stood out to me. That was another raw moment in that episode where I'm just like, this is how you do a season finale right here. Perfect.
But then the fact that we never see Carmi get out. Or no, we see him getting they're like slicing the lock off, but we never see him like actually leave the cooler, which is
no, because that's when he sits down and gets the voicemail, and it was just Claire like saying how much she loved him and was super excited to come to the restaurant. And he finally
made it
did
even worse,
bro. And then you're crying because again, and then I'm sitting there as a viewer like, I didn't really like her fucking with my boy Carmi because I want Carmi being raw and intense, and you're like, damn, I'm an asshole. Carmi should be heavy.
This is the perfect person for him.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm curious to see how like season 3 is gonna play out. I mean, like I said, I wasn't like, I didn't know how they did it with season 2, but they somehow fucking did it again. So I'm sure season 3 will be just as good.
Again, there's definitely some stuff that we glossed over. The whole thing with Sydney and her mom, and how her dad is like not very sure how this is all gonna go. That was a big plot point, and the dad shows up at the end of this episode after Sydney gets done throwing up, and he's like, it was like the best meal I've ever fucking had. That was cool. Richie bringing Uncle Jimmy the fucking chocolate banana, which I think was talked about in that was
6.
Okay, 6. Yeah, it was 6. So he brought him that. That was fucking amazing. And then I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys want to get into reviews, scores?
Well, I mean, we kind of don't have to go to reviews realistically. I could start off.
Scores.
I kind of just basically said that, but
yeah,
like I said, I had no faith in a second season of The Bear, and I mean, they fucking. I don't know, like, I don't know if I can compare the two. I think the first one was really good, but I don't know. I'm not gonna rank them. I'm just gonna say that I think this deserves a 98 out of 100. I think they hit everything on the fucking nail, and like, there's really nothing that you can critique about this. And I don't even know how they come up with it. I mean, props to the writers and the casting people, because I mean, like I said, episodes 6 and 9 were my 2 favorites, and insane. Peak television, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, I can go next. I think season 2 does clear season 1. I think it is a little bit better. Obviously, season 1 had some really good episodes, especially the last 2, 7 and 8. But I think if, going off this review from what we've said, if you look at IMDb, they seem to agree with us. I feel like the first half of the season started off a little bit slower. They're still good episodes, but they weren't great episodes, whereas in the second half of the season, it's way better. I mean, I think maybe the first 15, 20 minutes of this review was us mainly talking about the first 5 episodes, and then the rest have been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because we really enjoyed the second half of the season. So, I feel like that first half kind of takes down the score a little bit. I'm going to go with a 93. I think I gave season 1 an 88. So I do think season 2 is better, but like I said, that first half just wasn't up to par as to what the second half of the season was. So it's kind of hard to, I kind of have to knock it for that if I'm nitpicking, which I am. It's still, they did better than season 1, and I'm sure with season 3 they'll somehow manage to top it. I don't know how. I'm nervous to see what comes with season 3, because it's like, can they keep topping themselves? You want it to stay as at least as good as what season 2 was or season 1 is. So hopefully we get at least that, and not something where it's like, why are they wasting our time right now? And I don't think that'll happen, but it is a fear, right? Because I do want the show. I want the show to get more popular. I want it to keep increasing in value. So I'm gonna go with the 93.
But
Nice.
Just to add on that, Josh, I don't think this is a show that deserves like 6 seasons.
No, I don't
No.
either.
I think like
But
3,
I think
4
we said
at
that last time.
max.
Yeah,
We
but
said
like
4.
Brian, I think said at the beginning of the episode, they're
Automatically
signed on for
got
what,
signed
3
for
seasons?
2, 3, yeah.
So I know they're doing a third one, and that's what I mean. I hope they don't. If they're gonna go out on season 3, I hope it's a high note. That's what I'm saying. So,
That's fair. I'll go next so Brian can finish us off on this one. Trying to think, what do I give this show? It's pretty awesome. But the first 5 are important, but they're not as they don't captivate your attention as much, but they're important to building the story. So I can't dog on them that much. It's raw, it's emotional. Music choice is good. We didn't mention that. Music choice in the show is pretty good. They got some good tunes right off rip. The first, I think the first song is like The Show Goes On or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the end of the first episode. good choice, because it just keeps on carrying on. And this is a great show. I give it my highest recommendation of must watch. It's something you got to see. Do I think it is perfect? No, I'm giving it a 99 because it's not absolutely perfect, but I'm very happy with it. I think season 2, I want to say I gave season 1 a 99, and at first I thought season 2 is better. I think it might be, but I think overall season 1 I liked. Like if I were to average the score, where season 2 feels like it gets carried at the end. So that's why I'm going to give them the same score of season 1. I believe it was a 99, and that's a pretty high score. Like I said, this gets my highest rating. If you've not seen this show, watch it. Buy Hulu. Spend the $8 for the month, or whatever it is. I don't know.
T-Mobile, it's free.
There you go. If you got T-Mobile, it's free. I think I pay $85 a month. Great deal.
Hulu fucking sucks. I'm gonna be the first to say it right now. If you have ads on Hulu, don't even waste your fucking time.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go ad free. So I think it's at least 12. Actually, Aiden, I have Hulu Live like that plan, but I had ads, and I upgraded to the ad-free plan just to watch this goddamn show.
I should have, dude. I should have just pirated
at 25-minute episodes, you probably got 5 ads in there. And I think I'd lose my mind if I had to do that. So yeah,
dude, it was and the episodes are so short, and you're getting good. It's there's 4 different sets of ads, 2.5 in the beginning, 2.5, and then I don't know, whatever the end is.
It's very cool. Gotta love that ad talk right at the very end. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I think Andrew said it best that those episodes at the beginning of the season are a little slower, but they're super fucking important. Again, we get to see these giant arcs that these characters have gone on. Granted, you got to remember, though, this is a 10-episode season versus an 8, so maybe that's a factor to it, too, because, again, with the 8, each one was roughly 30 minutes long, and then the 7th one was 20 because it was all one shot, most high-intense episode. Episode 8 was 45 minutes, and that's where it all balanced out again. This one, again, they were all over the place. There's 10 episodes. The first 2 were a little slow, but also it's again, you're getting your feet wet. You're trying to remember what the fuck's going on if you didn't just rewatch it like I did the day prior. I think they just, again, I was very skeptical hearing of them bringing on new actors. I wasn't sure if they were going to outshine all these actors that aren't really well known, and that was my biggest fear. But no, they did a very tasteful job of sprinkling them throughout, so that way they were still important, but they didn't take away from what the fuck was going on. Additionally, you really didn't know what the hell was going to go on with the second one. How are they going to compete with that first one? Again, that first one was a perfect 100 to me. This one is probably going to be a perfect 100 to me. I got to make up my mind in the next 30 seconds here. But it's so fucking raw. You get that flashback episode that obviously we all loved, and then it makes so much more sense when you think about everything that we have seen. Everything that's happened this far in all 18 episodes, it really glues everything together. And it's been a while that you get a show that does that. Granted, you get your dramas and shit where Game of Thrones does it, but those are hour-long shows. For a show to be this short, and you can breeze through it this fast and to bring everything full circle, make you feel a part of the family, you gotta love it, dude. You really do. Like we said, they instantly got 2 and 3 after the success of the first season, so we know we're getting 3 seasons. I'm with Aiden. I don't think this should go on for 6. 4 is what I want because I'm selfish, but I'm also really scared that they're going to somehow find a way to fuck this up. 3, however, I think would be a really good spot to bring in newer people, and one person I think that would really fit the vibe. And granted, Fack already kind of took the role that I would have kind of wanted to see, but fucking Action Bronson. If they could bring Action Bronson into the show, I would fucking love it, dude. I would cry. He's a great person. He's a great chef. It would work amazingly. That is my only request for season 3. Other than that, The Bear, seal of approval, another 100%. I fucking love it. I can't wait for this rewatch. I'm probably going to hit it within the next month because I'm like that. Thank you, chefs. It's been a great conversation. I love you all.
Thank you, chef.
Thank you, chef.
Yep, thank you guys for listening. We will be back on Tuesday with Edger tomorrow. Live, die, repeat. So, but yeah, thank you guys for listening, and see you guys next time. Bye, chefs.
Bye, chefs. Love you
Bye,
guys.
chef.